Hello and welcome to Life After Narc. I'm Paula. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. If you're new to my channel and you like this video, please subscribe. The Future Faking Narcissist. Well, what is future faking? Future faking is a lying manipulation tactic that narcissists use to get something in the present moment. And the reason they do this is because they are pretty lazy. They don't like to do things they don't want to do, and they don't like to delay gratification. They want things and they want things now, so they are going to promise you something in the future, and this helps to keep you sucked in, keep you in the relationship, and they get what they want, and they get it now. And they do this with all kinds of relationships, primarily in romantic relationships, but this can be done in all kinds of relationships, including siblings, parents, grandparents, friends, and even bosses can pull this type of behavior. So an example for a boss using this kind of future faking would be a boss that's wanting you to work a bunch of overtime, work really hard on a project, and their future faking would be, oh, I'm going to give you a promotion in the future or a big raise or something, and that promotion and that raise never happens. And in fact, they might even take credit for all your hard work if they're an extremely narcissistic boss. So that would be one example of future faking that a boss could do. Now, if you had a narcissistic friend, they might always decide where they wanted to go eat or what kind of movie to go to. And the friend could always be promising, oh, next time we'll go to the restaurant you want to, or next time we'll go to the movie that you want to go to. But next time never comes, and you're always going and doing the things that they want because they are narcissistic and selfish, and that is how they operate. Now you could have dear old narcissistic grandma that maybe has a lot of money, and she's getting her grandson to do all kinds of chores around her house, handyman stuff, and doing her yard and everything, and she has plenty of money. She could afford to pay him to do all these chores, but does she pay him? No, she just tells him that in the future he's going to get a big inheritance from her. Whether he actually is going to or not, who knows, but that's what she's telling him, and right now she is giving him nothing for all the hard work that he is doing for her. As far as the future faking in romantic relationships, well, narcissists use this with their primary source, their secondary source, and even their narcissist harems. And they also use this as a hoovering technique too. So first, let's cover how they might use this in a primary relationship. Well, they can start using the future faking immediately during the love bombing stage, because they will make all kinds of promises about the future, many of which will never come true. They might promise to propose and never propose and string the person on along forever and ever, promise trips, all kinds of things that never materialize. Of course, they promise things about their character which are not true, and about how wonderful they're going to treat the person, which will not end up being true because of the devaluing that will begin to happen. They might say that they want children in the future and they won't, and they could string a person along for many, many years with this. And it's not just promises about what they might do for a person in the future. The future faking can also be things like what you have to do. So in other words, if you came to a narcissist with a complaint and said, you're not treating me right anymore, then they might say, you're not showing me, say, enough love and affection. Say you married the narcissist. They might say, well, in the future, I will show you more love and affection, but it's because you're not acting right. So you need to do X, Y, and Z and jump through these kinds of hoops. And once you jump through these hoops, then I will show you the love and affection. So they can use the future faking that way. In other words, you have to perform this certain way, and then I will give you this future. So they're getting you to do a performance for them for a certain outcome in the future. So it's all a promise that if you perform a certain way, then I will do this thing for you in the future. So what they can do then with a secondary source of supply for this future faking is they can tell the secondary source, well, I am going to leave my husband or wife in the future, and then you and I can get married in the future, even though they might have no intention whatsoever of leaving that spouse in the future, but they can string that other person along for years and years and years on end with this future faking. Again, and the same thing with the narc harem. With the narc harem, that sort of means this narcissist has all kinds of supply sources everywhere. And this could have been, say, an X supply source that they are just stringing along to stroke their ego, and they'll tell this X supply source, oh yes, I'll meet you at the beach next week, or I'll come over to your house next weekend. And they have no intention whatsoever. They just like to torture this person with these false promises and keep this person from moving on and finding someone else, because they like to cruelly taunt this person and stroke their own egos by keeping this whole harem of these people around them that they really have no intention of getting back together with, but they kind of leave this little carrot dangling that we might get back together again in the future. And then, of course, there's always the hoovering when they've been discarded, or they have discarded you, and when they are using their hoovering tactics, they will promise all kinds of things in the future, how they will change or they will give you something in the future if you only get back together again, how wonderful things will be in the future, and they will be totally different than they were the last time around, which you know is not true. So I have a funny story about future faking and my ex So after my divorce, I foolishly allowed myself to be hoovered into helping my ex move. And he told me two future fakes, one which I wanted, the other which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. So the one that I wanted was I was going to help him move, and in return, he was going to come back down to my place and do some handyman work for me. Well, we helped him move, and then the next day there was a horrible fight with my son, and we never spoke to each other ever again, which is a very good thing. So, of course, I never got my future fake handyman work done. But it's a good thing because he's out of my life and we're no contact. But the really hilarious thing that he future faked me with, and I couldn't believe it when he said it because I thought, oh my God, this man is out of his mind. He said to me, well, maybe someday we could get remarried. And I couldn't believe what was coming out of his mouth because the ink on our divorce papers was only 3 weeks dry, and we had been married for 17 years. And I was thinking, this man is out of his mind. Why is he even saying that? That is so nutso. So I wasn't buying that one bit or desiring that. So anyway, thank you for stopping by, and I would love to hear from you, and I would love to hear if you have any unusual or strange future faking stories yourselves. So thank you for stopping by, and I hope to see you again.